Thank you very much for your kind introductions and good morning, everyone. I hope that this opening one will wake you up a bit. So as he mentioned, Mr. Ngang already, Dr. Ngang mentioned that we are working in the Phuoc Hoa water project. So a little bit of the introduction of the project. So it started 2006 and it's about to close this year. And it was funded by the French development agencies, and we also have a representative today here, Ms. Huong, as the Asian Development Bank as well. It's a development project, so they started with building infrastructure for irrigations and also plots for domestic industrial water use for the Saigon-Dong Nai River Basin. So it's in the northeast of Ho Chi Minh City. And so within the project, they also include the package about governance, which means they're putting the management capacity building also into infrastructure construction. So if some of you working with water, you might be familiar with the concept of participatory approach. And in irrigation, it's called participatory irrigation management, PIM. So it's where when the idea coming in, probably it started sometime 1990s, where the whole world are talking about transferring the management role from the government to the people. So somehow to reduce the burden of the government in management of the irrigations and infrastructure. So it's where the global idea that put into development project, probably developed further by World Bank, ADB, and different other donors in over the world. And Vietnam is also following the step. So instead of reading a long presentation, we are making a documentary. Thank you, Olivier, for doing a hard job. I know that you really had a hard time last week. The presentation is built on the 3-year research project based mainly sociology, historical inquiry, and anthropological work. The research project looked at the local water governance to analyze the interactions between we analyze the interaction between different stakeholders, so not only the donor, we have the management board at the ministerial levels, and then provincial level, we have consultants that doing that participatory irrigation management approach. And then we have the local government, so the district, commune, people committees, and then we have the farmers, of course. And we also really try to understand the perspective from different stakeholders, including the farmer themselves. The nature and the impact of the water user participations is also one of our target of investigations. So the result quite contributing into the pool of scientific knowledge. We also contribute to reflect, to have the donor and also the management board to reflect on the impact of their actions into that development project. So they have done that for some time, but really look in depth into that, how people feel about it and how the process of the training, of capacity building really happen in place and the impact. So I will leave you with 25 minutes of the clip and hope you enjoy that.
In Vietnam, agriculture remains to be one of the main sectors, contributing to approximately 18% of the national GDP and sustaining the livelihood of about 50% of the population. Thus, effective utilization of the natural resources, such as water, has been the focus of the government's socio-economic strategies for centuries. Under the spectrum of development, Phuoc Hoa project at Dong Nai, Saigon River Basin running from 2006 until 2018 with the purpose to develop irrigated agriculture in 4 provinces and to increase the volumes of water for domestic and industrial use, especially for Ho Chi Minh City. It is financed by the Vietnamese state and 2 international donors, the French Development Agency and the Asian Development Bank. This documentary reflects the implementation of this project from the water governance's point of view. It is the result of a field study conducted by the Center of EFEO in Ho Chi Minh City, with the participation of researchers and students from various partners, including the Southern Institute of Social Science, the EPHE, and the Research Institute for Development.
The Dong Nai River basin is very important for the development of the southern of Vietnam and also for Vietnam. For example, Ho Chi Minh City and its surrounding areas here, like Dong Nai, Bình Dương, Tây Ninh, or Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu. This is the key economic core zone of the countries, which contribute to about 50% the country's budget.
Since 1975, water resources in the Dong Nai Basin have become the target of exploitation and management. There has been massive investment in hydroelectric projects. Also, upstream of Saigon River, the Dao Dieng Reservoir is the result of a continuation of human intervention in the basin, with the realization made by financial support from the World Bank and bilateral funds in the 1980s.
Nhiệm vụ lúc đó của Hồ Dầu Tiếng là cung cấp nước để sản xuất cho nông nghiệp cho các tỉnh Tây Ninh, thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và một phần của Bình Dương. Hiện nay thì đã phát triển theo đa mục tiêu, nó còn thêm những mục tiêu là phát triển phục vụ nước cho công nghiệp và sinh hoạt dân sinh cho 5 tỉnh thành phố trong khu vực.
Tác phòng thiên tai đó là làm gì? Điều tiết vận hành hồ để đảm bảo vừa nhiệm vụ tích nước, vừa là an toàn cho công trình nhưng an toàn cho hạ du. Có nghĩa là tích nước cũng không để cho thiếu, nhưng cũng không để cho thừa, và xả lũ dưới hạ du cũng không để cho lớn.
The basin has hosted complex, multi-purpose water uses, including agriculture, domestic and industrial use, and water for hydroelectric production. Thus, it is under stress in sustaining the supply for the increasing demand in the region. It is therefore necessary to imagine concerted and efficient modalities of governance of the resources to best meet the user's needs. Notably, the historic drought in the south in 2015 and 2016 made it clear that abundant water does not exist anymore. One main part of the hydraulic development in the Dao Dieng system is the Phuoc Hoa project. The project was designed in the early 2000s to increase the water volume available for both agriculture and domestic industrial needs. Therefore, the key objective of the Phuoc Hoa project is to construct a barrage at Bay River and divert part of its flow to Dao Dieng via a transfer channel which is 40 kilometers long. Initially, the project has 5 objectives. Create new irrigated area in Binh Phuoc and Binh Long. Increase water availability in the pre-existing irrigated area of Tây Ninh. Create 2 new irrigated perimeters in Tây Ninh and Long An provinces. Provide a volume of 17 cubic meters per second to meet the increased demand of domestic and industrial uses. And finally, to prevent and fight salinization at the downstream of Saigon and Vam Co rivers.
Il se trouve que l'évolution de la ville de Ho Chi Minh, les retards apportés à l'exécution initiale du projet ont conduit paradoxalement à en accroître le coût et en réduire je dirais, les surfaces mises en valeur. Donc on avait prévu d'irriguer 4 grands périmètres, on a réduit à 2 périmètres et à, je crois, un peu moins de 20 000 hectares les projets qui allaient être traités par le cofinancement Banque asiatique de développement AFD. Mais l'une de ces raisons, une des raisons importantes, c'est aussi que la ville a gagné sur la campagne et qu'il n'était plus non plus économiquement intéressant de consacrer à la riziculture des terres qui n'étaient plus des terres rurales et dont la valeur foncière avait sensiblement augmenté.
Located in Tây Ninh province at the border with Cambodia, the Tan Bien irrigated area is designed to cover 6,400 hectares, spreading over 5 communes in the Chao Tan and Dan Bien districts. In Phuoc Hoa project, from the West Canal of Dao Tieng, the Tan Bien main canal was prolonged from the old canal, making a 20-kilometer U-shaped canal. The main canal then distributes water through 18 primary canals, which are continued to divide into secondary and tertiary canals. In total, there are 94 kilometers of concrete canal made. Approximately 1,200 hectares north of the perimeter at Tan Tie and Tan Bin communes requires pressurized water supply, which is facilitated by a pumping station at the canal. Until the completion of the hydraulic infrastructure in 2015, there was only one canal system that facilitates both irrigation and drainage in the area.
7778 là nhà nước mới đào mấy cái kênh này, cháu bây giờ cháu đi thấy có mấy kênh không?
Cái Tà Xia.
Kênh Tà Xia đó.
Dạ.
Hết thảy là 5 kênh.
Dạ.
Mà mỗi một cái kênh là một cây số. Tức là từ đường này vào là một cây, từ đường này vào một cây. Cũng là móc cái đó để cho nó đi nước phèn đi đó. Đi nước phèn đi tới năm 90 mà trồng hoa màu là tốt rồi.
Besides that, the majority of the agricultural production in the area has relied on groundwater pumping with tube wells at 25 to 35 meters deep. The increase of groundwater use in the area resulted from the expansion of sugarcane and cassava production. This has increased tapioca export, mainly to China. The agrarian landscape also witnesses a radical transformation with large-scale development of rubber plantation. It is influenced by the global market price of latex, which was increasing up until the mid-1990s. After a sharp fall, prices rose again in the early 2000s. This was when rubber plantations started booming in Tan Bien perimeter area. The price reached its peak around 2010 and fell between 2013 and 2016. Conventional rubber cultivation with little water required was the reason why the designed area of Tan Bien perimeter had to reduce over the timeline of Phuoc Hoa project. The second active perimeter of the project is located in the northern part of Long An province. The area is within proximity to Ho Chi Minh City, the country's center of urbanization, which has resulted in transformation in socio-economic dynamics. Industrial and residential areas have expanded in the district northeastern part, reducing the available agricultural areas.
Nói là hộ là 800 mấy. 800 mấy chục hộ, 830 hộ. Đó.
Dạ.
Nhân dân khẩu của chú là tới coi như là 1.000 đâu, 3.000 mấy chứ.
3.000 mấy nhưng mà đâu có ở đây túc trực đâu hả chú?
Đâu có thì nhân khẩu là tính trong gia đình á. Là tính rồi, họ đến giờ anh đi mày nó ráo rồi. Đi tứ tán hết rồi. Nhà không có ai đâu. Giờ ở nhà già giữ cháu.
The Phuoc Hoa perimeter is designed at irrigation capacity of 10,200 hectares. The system includes a main canal connecting to the east canal of Dao Tieng. The main canal carries water to irrigate around 1,000 hectares at Thao Mi Guchi, Ho Chi Minh City, and then crosses to Tay Kay Canal by a siphon to enter the Phuoc Hoa perimeter. At Tan Mi Commune, the most upstream of the system, the main canal is divided into 2 primary canals, which then convey water to branch canals as secondary and tertiary canals. The entire network consists of 182 kilometers of canal, irrigating lands of 11 communes. Before Phuoc Hoa project, Phuoc Hoa farming production also relies on groundwater to irrigate a diverse cropping pattern of rice, peanut, maize, vegetables, and more recently, cultivating grass for cows. The 2 perimeters were designed according to the same approach, participatory irrigation management, or PIM, which places the issue of capacity building and user participation at the center of the irrigation management system.
Từ PIM mới có là từ năm 97, trước đây không có, trước đây không có. Trong một cái hội thảo đầu tiên của AWP, chính tôi là người chủ trì, thì cái tiêu đề là gì? Nông dân tham gia quản lý thủy nông. Từ ấy các văn bản các Việt Nam mới có từ PIM đầu tiên từ năm 97.
In Phuoc Hoa project, the PIM approach was applied within the framework of On-Farm and Social Development Programme, or OSDP, which were put into two phases. Phase 1 of the OSDP programme has two purposes. First, to compensate the households that gave up land for the construction of hydraulic infrastructure. This task was proceeded smoothly because of the satisfactory level of compensation. The second task was to make participatory designing of canal systems, especially the territory canals. The consultancy process was made through the people who represent the farmer in the form of community monitoring group, which was established by the project. Observation in the field shows a number of complaints by farmers regarding the design problems and technical malfunctions, and the wrong positions of outlets to on-farm canals. Some outlets on territory canals are below the field level, which is impossible to appropriate water. It is therefore essential to ask the question, how was the participatory design of the network made?
Đây khi mà cái mô hình mà xây dựng mà nó trên sơ đồ á, là nó có trên này cũng như dự toán của trung ương nó đã có sẵn.
Tức là đi xuống là đã có cái...
Nó có sơ đồ sẵn.
Ok.
Là chỉ phóng tuyến anh em để khảo sát là thôi. Mà tôi tính là tụi chú này, chú là đại diện hộ dân ở đây. Là chú tham gia trong cái đó, mà trong hộ dân thì cũng đông lắm à, cũng là 8-9 người chứ mình giám sát đó. Nói giám sát là giám sát để đi theo đặng coi như để bàn bạc. Nhưng mà có những cái bàn ở đôi lúc anh em cũng không được đi chỗ này vậy. Bởi vì trên thiết kế nó anh em nói là bản vẽ đã có rồi, không có sửa được.
Cái cách tiếp cận là dưới lên trên xuống mà, dưới lên trên xuống. Nhưng mà để cho họ tham gia thì không phải chỉ có dưới lên đâu, mà phải có trên xuống. Vì khi tham gia thiết kế họ biết cái gì thì phải có đào tạo họ trước, rồi mới dưới lên được.
The project leaders highlight the difficulties encountered during consultation.
Quá trình làm giai đoạn 2 thì đầu tiên là mình gửi cái hồ sơ thiết kế cho bên Huynh Thi Phuong giao hồ sơ thiết kế ngay từ đầu triển khai dự án luôn cho anh em nghiên cứu và anh em góp ý về cái hồ sơ đó. Có cần điều chỉnh bổ sung cái gì thì anh em góp ý nên điều chỉnh trong quá trình thực hiện. Tuy nhiên trong quá trình thực hiện thì nó cũng có một số cái nó cũng thay đổi. Như vừa đầu có báo có nói là giờ hồi xưa là một số là vô số dân không cho vô. Trong quá trình làm người ta lại thấy người ta lại muốn vô, người ta lại xin bổ sung. Thì bổ sung lúc dự án là triển khai thì dễ rồi. Bây giờ dự án ta bàn giao cho công ty quản lý khai thác, công ty là quản lý rồi, giờ là khi bổ sung. Giống như thì sắp kết thúc dự án, cuối năm nay kết thúc dự án rồi mà đã bàn giao rồi, nhà thầu rút đi hết trơn, giờ ai làm?
The second phase of the OSDP program aims at creating collective management structures which are able to operate and maintain the canal network in order to achieve equal distribution of water between users. At the end, 43 water user groups were established in Phuoc Hoa perimeter and 16 water user associations were set up in Tam Bien perimeter.
Pour nous, l'approche qu'on veut promouvoir, c'est une approche plutôt combinée entre l'approche top-down, c'est-à-dire avec toutes les implications, toutes les directives de l'État vietnamien, que les collectivités locales doivent suivre, et puis avec une approche participative, avec une consultation des attentes de tous les irrigants, les attentes des AMC, des autorités locales, etc., pour comprendre bien quels sont les besoins et ensuite comment on va répondre à ces besoins-là.
Chúng tôi vẫn kế thừa cái tổ thủy nông, chúng tôi không công nhận là không phải là không công nhận nó là không tốt, nhưng mà chúng tôi đưa ra cái tổ thủy nông, tôi vẫn kế thừa tổ thủy nông đó, nhưng mà chúng tôi đưa thêm vào cái tổ thủy nông đó là gì? Thứ nhất là phải được người dân bầu. Cái thứ hai này là tổ thủy nông đó có cái quyết định công nhận mà giữa bà con dùng nước và ủy ban nhân dân xã, thì đấy là nó cũng là cái ràng buộc. Ví dụ như sau này về phân phối nước theo các từng tuyến kênh thì các anh tổ thủy nông đấy phải ngồi lại với nhau, hoặc là người dân ở giữa các ấp phải biết nhau, hoặc là người dân trong một ấp phải biết nhau để người ta cùng chia sẻ, cùng hiểu.
Alors, en fin de compte, en contradiction avec l'esprit de la PIM, les procédures de création et d'élaboration de ces groupes d'usagers de l'eau ont été standardisées. C'est-à-dire que les règlements intérieurs et les statuts ont été plaqués de façon uniforme dans chacun des deux périmètres. Les représentants de ces groupes n'ont pas été élus, mais désignés par les comités populaires des communes. C'est pourquoi la plupart sont des chefs de hameau ou des secrétaires de la cellule du parti du hameau. Alors comment expliquer cette situation? D'une part, faute de temps, les équipes ont suivi à la lettre des termes de référence qui étaient très contraignants et qui est fondé sur des objectifs chiffrés. Et pour atteindre ces objectifs, elles ont adopté le schéma d'intervention top-down de l'État. D'autre part, c'est vrai qu'avec l'échec de la phase de la conception participative des réseaux, les agriculteurs n'étaient pas vraiment motivés pour s'engager à nouveau dans une démarche participative. Enfin, l'expertise internationale n'est arrivée qu'à la fin du programme OSDP, c'est-à-dire qu'elle n'a pas pu encadrer et superviser le travail des équipes de consultants nationaux, ce qui était pourtant sa mission première.
Since the completion of the OSDP program in September 2016, how has the system at local level been managed? The situation is very different between the two perimeters. There already existed a model of water operator in Tam Bien.
Còn về cái hệ thống tổ thủy nông á, thì giờ hiện tại là theo quân số của đội giờ cơ bản thì cũng thành lập rồi, có người bỏ rồi, có người nghỉ, có người thêm, cũng nói chung là nó đến giờ phút này nó chưa ổn định. Nhưng mà tính từ đầu năm 2017 thì hiện tại là nó cũng được khoảng 16 tổ rồi. Tổ thủy nông là cũng ăn khoảng là 150 đến 200 ha.
Giống như là hợp đồng là giống như là đối tác vậy đó, coi như là ở đây thì tổ đi lấy diện tích để mà ký với bên đây thì lấy diện tích tổ ăn phần trăm lợi, ăn phần trăm thì lợi sẽ trả bao nhiêu phần trăm đó cho 8% cho tổ này, tổ cộng tác bên đây. Thì công ty thủy lợi thì đưa lịch xuống, anh em dưới đây quản lý là tự chia lịch nhau mà tưới, nói chung là do bà con nhu cầu cần nhiều ít thôi mình tự phân lịch đây.
So, the two models coexist. The project-created model, Water User Association, with the principles of collaborative and participatory management exist only on paper until now. And the actual model of water operator of the Tai Ninh Irrigation Management Company. Despite the term group of the local model, the structure relies on individual farmers working with the company under contract with an allowance.
Nhưng mà giờ mình chưa khai thác cho nên mình chưa sử dụng được cái mô hình đó được. Bởi vì cái là tổ hợp tác dùng nước này chủ yếu phục vụ cho hệ thống lao động. Thấy những cái mô hình mà nó được của Lộc Giang, mình tiến hành là áp dụng cho cái Phuoc Hoa được. Mà nếu mà đi theo con đường của FDP là chế độ này chế độ kia thì khó lắm, chỉ hơn nữa đông người. Bởi vì trước đây là coi như có một trưởng ấp và một phó trưởng ấp, người ta có thể quản lý là coi như 200 hectare. Còn bây giờ dự án Phuoc Hoa là tách ra 4 mấy tổ đường nước mà một tổ thì giờ là coi như trên cái chục người mà quản lý có 70 hectare. Nhưng mà chúng thấy cái đó là một cái thước đo, anh làm nhiều thì ảnh hưởng nhiều, anh làm ít anh hưởng ít. Cái đó là cũng coi như cái quy trình vậy là kích thích được cái trách nhiệm.
Đã bầu 2 tổ đường nước rồi, nhưng mà thật sự là 2 tổ đường nước hoạt động chưa hiệu quả. Lý do là nước vì chưa có ổn định. Thời điểm này thì ban quản lý đất là người điều hành là chính, để cho người ta thấy được một cái nét là cụ thể, là giống như bây giờ này những cái sự cố kỹ thuật của công trình để khắc phục xong những người đó. Thứ nhất, thứ hai nữa, lực nước ổn định thì lúc đó rồi mới cái tổ đường nước mới hoạt động được, mà hoạt động được để gây cái uy tín, làm có uy tín với nhân dân để mới thu được cái tiền thủy lợi phí.
So, the question of the choice of the management model is not yet important, given the lack of on-farm canal networks, without which the canal system could only provide up to 35 to 40% of its capacity. This situation creates inequality. Owners whose land plots are close to the canal could pump or siphon water directly to their field, while the other's only remaining option is groundwater pumping. It has become a main topic of discussion in the two perimeters today.
Mà bây giờ do cái nguồn vốn mà phải là kết thúc thì đây là một cái vấn đề là rất khó khăn trong vấn đề quản lý để mà phát huy hiệu quả. Mặc dù cái nguồn vốn đã đầu tư ra khá lớn, đó là hệ thống đầu mối, hệ thống kênh chính, kênh cấp 1, cấp 2. Nhưng bây giờ cái hệ thống chân rết cuối cùng mà không đầu tư được thì hiệu quả không cao. Đó là như thế. Còn nếu mà không có hệ thống chân rết thì cái tổ chức coi như là hợp tác dùng nước hình thành, hợp tác xã hình thành thì cũng bó tay, không có phát huy được cái gì bao nhiêu. Mặc dù là mình tổ chức được nhưng mà nước không dẫn được đến ruộng.
Cái vấn đề thứ nhất đó là dân làm hay là nhà nước làm, đang cứ lui hui cái chỗ này mà không có trả lời được cho dân, cho nên là công ty với bên chỗ đội thì cơ bản là cũng thống nhất là giờ trước mắt chưa có cái dự án nào của nhà nước hỗ trợ thì vận động bà con mình tự làm, rồi trên cái sự hướng dẫn của cán bộ thủy lợi ở bên đội như công ty về cái mặt hướng dẫn kỹ thuật, rồi cách làm, rồi cái địa hình làm cũng như là cái thiết kế cái tuyến kênh nó đi. Thì cái này thì cái thứ nhất là cũng sử dụng cái kinh nghiệm của những cái tổ thủy nông đã quản lý, người ta sẽ biết nhiều hơn cái địa hình ở đó. Cái thứ hai nữa thì cơ bản là về cái vận động thì phải nhờ ủy ban là phần nhiều. Tất nhiên anh em ở bên đội thì cũng vận động nhưng mà nó cái sức thuyết phục nó bằng ở bên ủy ban hơn.
Có nghĩa là đồng tình mà đâu có gì. Giờ chủ yếu này nhà nước mình hỗ trợ chừng, ví dụ bây giờ thay dụng tuyến kênh dài cỡ 500 m hoặc 300 m, nhà nước cho chừng 100 m rồi cũng như là dân
cũng như mồi phải không chứ?
Tuy nhiên mình làm trước cho họ thấy cái mô hình được, rồi nó mới nhân rộng lên, chứ tự nhiên mình bỏ ngang ra là cũng khó.
Dạ.
Làm cái kênh nội đồng mình phải họp dân rồi đủ thứ đó chị. Dân, nhưng mà tôi nói thẳng bây giờ dân mình là một, nhưng mà quan trọng là nhà nước mình. Nhà nước mình không đứng ra, không có cách nào làm. Thì đúng là
dân thì có người thú luôn chứ.
Thì áp lực điện phải sáng tay vô chứ.
In July 2015, at Phu Vinh Commune, 3 farmers responded to the call of 2 neighbours to construct an 80-metre-long brick canal, providing water for their land. This is the first on-farm canal made by an initiative of water users and paid by them. 15 kilometres away, the authority of Tan Thai Commune launched a negotiation process between 20 farmers in December 2016 to build 3 on-farm canals to get water from one territory canal. 1 year later, this process has not been successful. The reason is not about disagreement between farmers. Rather, it is due to the uncertainty surrounding the water supply. The farmers are not convinced about the stability of the water supply. The rumours circulating about which agency will pay for the on-farm canal has led the farmers to hold a position of wait and see. The wait and see approach emphasises the gap between project time, which has a limited duration with limited flexibility, and the time of the farmers, who need time to observe and assess the situation before putting in any investment into constructing the on-farm canal. So, at this level of on-farm canal discussion, the participatory approach could find its legitimacy by creating a process of negotiation between the water users who depend on the same on-farm canal.
Cái quá trình thủy nông là quá trình phải hoàn thiện từ từ, chứ không thể mà một dự án mà đầu tư ngay từ đầu mà đáp ứng đủ nhu cầu, mà thực sự nhu cầu cũng thay đổi theo thời gian nữa. Thành ra là quá trình của kỹ năng quản lý là phải có những cái thay đổi cho nó phù hợp.
One new factor could change the situation. The new law on irrigation has been approved by the National Assembly on July 4th, 2017. It should be remembered that since 2008, farmers are exempt from paying irrigation fees. This paradigm shift seeks to transform irrigation with hydraulic structures into a paying service. Of course, only with indispensable state support at the beginning. According to this model, a contractual relation will be established between the company the service provider, and the water user, the customer. This model, therefore, removes the necessity of any form of collective organization, such as water user association. Will the law be enforced? It remains to be seen. Not only because the distribution of agricultural water is still not a stable service, but also because of the political challenge of its implementation.
So I hope that this 25 minutes can actually giving you a picture about what we have done and one of the main results of our research. So just to kind of remind one of the statements we have here, for example, sorry. So the gap between the project terms in the development projects and the farmer terms. So somehow farmers need to see whether the system actually works, because it's an ideology coming from outside. Outside doesn't mean from approach, but it could be from the state, from the authority. The locations of the irrigation system had not been familiar with irrigation in the canals and collectively sharing between farmers, but it's more individual pumpings from their own field, so they can do it whenever they want with their own pumps. So changing that, and then the development project coming in with the idea to facilitate the process to transfer from individual farming system to a bit more collective sharing of water. And with the framework of maybe 2 years for participatory approach, it proved to be not enough. But it's a restriction from a development project, is always having a timeline. So we could see here also the strong influence of the state and the project institutions. Actually, it brought in the new idea of how to irrigate by the conduit canals. So it's also somehow foster and then boost the process of the negotiation of the farmer now. They see the canals, they saw the water coming in. So they're finding the way to use the water from those canals. For example, the on-farm canal made by the farmer themselves. So they just saw it, and during the process, so the new institution, the new way of organizing themselves actually coming up. But we also put that it's good in the way that creating the motivations from the farmer, but also it really reflect the top-down approach in this project, in the implementation of the participatory approach, and rather than building from within. But as we mentioned before, so it was about restricted in timeline. And I think one important thing we have to mention as well, participatory approach at the global scale, we always mention that it's the water user group is somehow the idea it should be autonomous from the authority. So it's one of the idea behind it. But somehow it proved in the Vietnamese system that the state authority at those lowest level of the administration's scale, so which is the hamlet level, those leaders from the authority actually becoming the social leader over the time. So somehow putting the state, putting those working for the state apart from this collective framework, it might not be appropriate for Vietnam. So it could be a lesson, a really big lesson for those ideology coming from outside. And I hope that you enjoy it. And thank you very much. And Olivier is here, and I feel really happy to answer or question on putting more in the discussion.
Okay, very interesting. Lots of good experiences. So please, do you have any question or comments or discussion? Yeah. Stephen.
Thank you, Ling and Olivier, for this very interesting study case. Really, very, very good job. One question. Olivier said during the interview that the international expertise come late. Can you give us some information why? What's happened?
So the project had two phases of the OSDP program. So the first phase started, so there was international consent. Maybe just to make clear the structure of development project. They have national consultant hired for doing the job in the field. And then they have international consultant like oversee the whole process, also supervise the national consultants. On the first phase, that there was international consultant, but somehow that team left before the second phase of the OSDP program. So during actually at the end of the first and then the second phase of the PIM implementation, that there were no international consultant. And then the donor also saw the necessity to have another team coming, administration process, budget arrangement, they are on the restriction to put the team in place early. So they only came in, I think, only 5 months before everything's ended in that PIM implementation.
Yes, thank you for the nice movie. That's really interesting. Just maybe a question about the time dimension. You stress the fact that there is sort of difference between the time of the project or external intervention and the time of the farmers, which is longer in a way. So they have they need time to test a new possibility or new opportunity. But maybe there is something else in this farmers' time. It's the fact that there is also the memories of the past interventions, which is the basis on which they will judge a new one. And maybe there is also this kind of memories of good or bad, I don't know, interventions, which is a very important explanatory factor of how people deal with a new project, for instance.
You are totally right about that case. It could happen in the other, in Tân Biên slightly at only small part. As I mentioned, because most of the two perimeters actually built new infrastructure on the place that they used to use the water from the ground only. And only part of the close to Phuoc Vinh and Anchor commutes like close to the old Dầu Tiếng irrigation system. So Dầu Tiếng system be there for 1980s. And they also have the canals, and from the beginning, they have the earth canal only, and then they have the conduit canal. With the earth canal, the water supply is not reliable because of the leakage and because of the breaking of the canal sometimes. So some of the idea was that maybe canal is there, but the water is not there. But within this project, one of the issue was when the consultant, they were talking to the farmer how to share water, but the construction of the canal has not been finished at that moment. So they had the idea, it's good to repair the farmer, but it's not yet there, the canals and the water, and it has to be stable, and that the farmer can act.
Noah, tu as une question?
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for this film. It's just first some feedback. What you witnessed with the canal, in the software industry, we have that with end users all the time. And one question I have is, do you have any ideas how to make end users, the farmers basically, taken into account? Is there any, because you talked about top-down, bottom-up, and we saw that bottom-up isn't very easy, or in fact we observed that it doesn't work very well. Do you know of any situations where it actually works well?
Right here in the Mekong Delta, if someone working in An Giang, they have water user group. They started with water pumping from the rice field. They together in maybe 10, 20 farmers, so they together pump the water out of the field after the flooding seasons, and then they can sow the rice at the right time, and then they can have the harvest. The experience from the An Giang was, it started from the demand of the farmer themselves. So because they saw that they cannot pump individually, so they have to pump together by individual pump, and then it continued to have high power pump to pump for the whole big fields. And then what some of them actually developed to cooperatives. Cooperatives is also idea from the state. The idea from the state of the collective command economy, but when it comes like after 20, 30 years, the farmer also getting familiar to that idea. They accept it in the sense they still consider different factors, whether they go for it or not. So some of the water user groups in An Giang, they develop further to also do agricultural services, like providing the machine, like hiring for the farmer to hire as well. So taking from this, like Phuoc Hoa case and also some other case in Vietnam, I would say that it have to come from somehow at the moment, the time, and then on the factor, for example, the water supply has to be there. The need, they need to work together. So then at that moment, the motivation will come. But then it's always tricky because when a development project comes, they cannot just, okay, we have to say 10 years later, when the farmer really need it, and now they organize the on-farm canal. So maybe it could only be done by another project, but not in the same project. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Any more questions from the audience? Yep.
Thank you. My name is Kong from Cambodia. Thank you for the very interesting movie. This is what we can learn from not only the development of infrastructure, but also the management of the system as well. And of course, the building the canal is the most important, but the management, on the how to distribute the waters to the people, to the farmers, is another difficult thing that Cambodia face the problem for managing this thing. So based on this, I want to learn from your project is that how can the farmer pay for the waters, or they are free to get it or not, or if they pay, how is the what is the system, or how to calculate the price for using those water. And one more question is that we have a farmer water user group, and the manager is elected by the people, right? I want to know if they get any incentive based on their work or not. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your question. First one, farmer paying for the water. So in Vietnam context, officially, the farmer had to pay for the water before 2007. 2008, the government decided to exempt the farmer from paying for it. Unofficially, informally, farmer did not really pay, or they did not see that they paying for the water. The invisibility of that paying, because they somehow the local authority will come to the household, collect a certain amount of money, including several different things. So somehow they didn't see that they're paying for the water even before 2008. So today the discussion coming back on the problem about maintenance, building a new infrastructure, they need funds, and then the government cannot subsidize forever. It really depends on case by case that the farmer will be willing to pay or not. For example, in the case of the Phuoc Hoa, the two perimeters here, we asked the farmer, the consultant also asked, the farmer says, yes, I will pay. The reason behind it, they used to pay quite a lot of money for their pumping, the electricity. So paying for water from the canal instead of the water from groundwater is fine. But the bad thing, I need the water to be stable and I can get it whenever I want. So to be a reliable supply is the most important thing that the farmer will decide to pay for the service. Mention that not paying for the water, but the services that the irrigation company providing the water. The second question, you mentioned the motivation for those who got elected to be the manager of water user group. I'm not trying to get like every case it will be the same, but like many cases here when someone is elected, maybe they are nominated and then only one candidate will become, and then with the assembly, and then someone will become the leader. So it's not really an election in the general sense at all, but it doesn't mean that person doesn't have the power or the reputation to work farmers. They might have it too. So it's a bit of like informal dynamic as well. It's not like officially that you have to vote, and then if you are not and you do not get the reputation, it's not like that. Motivation at the moment is paying from the government. The government having 8% for those who work with the water user group. So they have to run around, open the gate. They have to use the mobile phone to call the farmer, hey, the water coming. So they also get a certain amount of money. But at the moment, it seems not enough yet. So some actually are complaining and some quitting their job.
Any more comments or questions? Yes?
I'm Katja, I'm from ITC, same department with Mr. Kong. Yeah, I also like the video, and I would like to know about the irrigation company. Is that the company of the government or the private company? And that they call it irrigation company because this company invests on the construction of the canal or what? Because I think if the company invests on the construction of the canal, the farmer doesn't pay anything. They just pay for the pump, to pump the water from the canal to the farm. So why the farmer have to pay? They just pay for the pumping and pay for the water that they pump to the family, right? Yeah.
Okay. First one, irrigation management company at the moment, they are state-owned company. So they used to base mainly from the state budget. At the moment, some of them in Vietnam started to have their like selling water, for example, some of them like for domestic use as well, and that's in the stable stroke. And in Tây Ninh, they also sell water or service for the industrial factory as well. So that's their income. So they have state budget and then their income as well. And then you mentioned why the farmer have to pay for the investment that have been there. The company got the infrastructure either handing over by development project. So it's either by the Dầu Tiếng system funded by the World Bank 1980s, or now it's with the Phuoc Hoa project. It's also funded by development ODA plus grant. So they are handing over, and some part of the project also being invested by the company themselves if they got the money. Most of the time, irrigation infrastructure has to be maintained and expanded. So the money for reaching the canal, hiring the worker to operate as well. So those are the costs that have to be covered, and it comes as the water service that the farmer have to pay. Okay, but the part about farmer pumping from the canal, I'm not so sure that I understand your concern.
No, I mean you in the video they talk about the farmer have to pay, but I think I saw that the farmer have to pay for the pumping only because the infrastructure is the investment of the company that get fund from other sources like that. And another question is about the water service that the company supply. Like in the video, sometimes the service is not reliable, right? Like sometimes have water to pump and sometimes we don't have water to pump from the canal. So what is the reason of the like instability of the water service? It because you don't have enough water from the water source, or because you have enough water in the water source, but the water cannot deliver to the farm?
You touched the really like big problems. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. People tend to say you think system have enough or more than enough water, and that is still a debate because they during the summer it's a reservoir. It's a reservoir, so the water coming in the reservoir also at a lower level during the summertime, and that reservoir also supply water for domestic industrial irrigation, and irrigation is always the last because domestic is the most important. Industrial one because it's the supply by contract between companies and the factory, so it has to be supplied as well. Irrigation, we have not really a contract, but it's kind of agreement. So, but it's also regulated by the law. It doesn't mean that farmer do not get any water, but maybe they get less water and the priority doesn't give to irrigation. That's the first thing. And the second one, we mentioned here unreliable water supply for Phuoc Hoa project. It doesn't mean that we are having the lack of water, but it's like incomplete infrastructure. The project only invested on primary, secondary, tertiary canals. The final chain would be the on-farm to lead the water to the field is on the responsibility of the farmers. It's also regulated by the Vietnamese legal framework that the farmer also need to contribute as well. But how the farmer will contribute, there's a lack of mechanism for that. So farmer also still wait, and then there's a rumor going around, maybe the state will invest on it, or the company, if they want to collect some fee, they may invest on it as well. So Phuoc Hoa project is also, it's newly contracted. And as the final interview from the management board, the director of management board, he said the irrigation system need time to adjust because the demand also adjusted because after some time maybe more farmer want the water as well.
So you mean some amount of water for the first priority to the domestic and then the second one to the industry and the leftover for the irrigation, right? You mean like
not
that?
Exactly like that. I'm not like defending the authority, but they will be sure to have a certain amount, but like less priority. So, for example, if they have really drought in 2015, 2016, they have rotational delivery. So this part of Tây Ninh would get water from Monday to Wednesday, for example, and then the other part we get from Thursday until Saturday. Yeah, do 3.
Okay. Yep, please.
So, as my understand that the local resident they're willing to support and pay if they can foresee the feasibility of the project. So I wonder, did you estimate the willingness to pay of the local resident before doing the project? And what is the scenario that you established to show them the feasibility of the project? Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to answer your question based on our knowledge of research because those who asking the farmer is not our research team. There's a project consultant team surveying the willingness of farmer to pay for the water and also paying for the on-farm canal as well. So they did that survey, but the farmer might be just say yes at that moment, but they don't know yet. It's like in a meeting, in a common official setting, people will agree to raise their hand that I will build the on-farm canal when the water is there. Or I will pay for the water when the water supply is reliable, but on those with condition, you see, reliable water when the water is there. So And then when the reality comes with the concrete canal appears, and they will decide on that moment. It's not a binding agreement or binding contract at that moment.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think there's one he raised the hand before.
I have read the article that say Vietnam has in Vietnam in the 3 stages of the rice production. The first stage they need more water, and the second stage they need a lot more water, and the third stage they need less water because they need to harvest the rice. So, but these days in the first stage and second stage, when they need more water, there's become drought. And the third stage, the final stage, when they need less water, when there occurs flooding. So, what if the drought occurs, and what if the water supply from the reservoirs is not enough to give water for irrigation system through canals? So, what if your water supply from reservoir is not enough? So how will you manage your irrigation system through canals? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's also one of the difficulty that when we talk to the irrigation companies and the workers of the canal management team, the diversity of plantation cropping patterns. The diversity, so they not only have rice with different demands of water during their cropping season, but they have cassava, they have proper plantation, they have vegetable with different demand. So one of the practice they have been doing that giving the hand for those water operator, they need extended body, which are the water operator that can open the gate, because the farmer will tell him, I think it's important to mention because most of the time, because of the land elevations and the soil characteristic as well, the farmer have to plant the same crop as same as their neighbor. Most of the time, not every time. So it's also make the irrigation, like water delivery, easier as well. So in that field with maybe 10 farmers, and then the water operator can know that at what moment they need more water or less water so they can deliver. So extended body of water operators somehow at the moment is really critical for the operation of the system.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Hello, Ms. Phuong Linh. Thank you for your very interesting presentation. I have some question for you. Firstly, it's about I saw in your movie. We all understand that water management is very important in rural area. But I saw in your movie creation of new city made by Vingroup. And I just have a question about the urbanization. What if does the urbanization play a certain role in this process of water management? And another question specific about the methodology, the research methodology. Does your research rely totally on the survey, the people survey, or you work with other information sources? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Urbanization playing a key role in this project. The project irrigation area reduced dramatically from the first it's 48,000 hectares. 2006, the feasibility report was the design area were 48,000. At the end today, we have about 20,000. So it's reduced a lot. But it doesn't mean that because the urbanization enter the perimeter, but it's the effect of farmer leaving their fields and then leaving it fallow, so they're not planting anymore. But It's also urbanization creating the migrations of the labor from the rural area to urban area as well. It mentioned in Phuoc Hoa, it's a big issue because farmers there now 40s, 50s, not my generation, not your generation, they are on out for factories or cities. The enter of wind groups, and it could be a really having a lot of influence in the area as well because the land already, the price of the land already really high. So farmers now tend to sell the land rather than planting it. Methodology. Our group, we based on anthropological historical inquiries. We also work with the Southern Institute for Social Science based on survey with questionnaire. So we also incorporate different data, and then the data is about like technicals and then the infrastructure we acquired from the project and other experts from the field. But they mainly this is kind of sociological based research.
I have a similar question here. We saw the feedback that was given by the farmers. Do you know where it was processed to within the higher levels and how it was structured, if there were any priorities that were given or anything like that?
Yep. Bottom-up reflections, response is possible but slow because if the project consultant is there, they can just give the opinion to the consultant. Consultant can go faster to the project management board. But it's not always the case. So they have to go through their conventional hierarchical administration. So hamlet to commune. Commune, they collect all the idea to the district and then province. And then provincial level will talk to the project management board. So it could take kind of really long term. The response back also happened in some cases because of the requirement, the request from the farmers, so they have to repair some of the part of the canals or changing or creating some new infrastructure as well. It happened, but it took quite a long time, maybe 1 to 2 years, and farmers could lose trust over that process.
Okay, so we have a very interesting discussion and answer. So we may stop temporarily here now because Linh will have another lecture soon. So I hope that you enjoy this session, and now we have time for a coffee break. Okay, so please.